If you like frozen yogurt, paninis, adult floats, endless mimosas, 32 Below, Froyo, and more is for you. They're located in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and they got a little something for the whole family. On Saturdays and Sundays, they have endless mimosas. So make sure you go check them out, like them on social media, go to Yelp, give them a great review. They're an amazing business, community minded, and doing some great things in our community. Welcome to Keeping Tabs. I'm Tabitha Croc, and every Monday, I talk to someone here in North Idaho with the goal to connect more people in the Coeur d'Alene area. And then every Friday, I talk to someone outside the community to bring in a new perspective and to learn a little bit about yourself. Good morning. I have Tyler with me today. I'm very excited to chat with this individual. He is an author, speaker, entrepreneur, a little bit of everything. So first of all, thank you for joining me this morning.
Yeah, Tabitha, thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah. And you got the nice mic and you got the nice setup too. I love it.
Well, it helps to work for, a digital marketing agency or to own one, I guess. You get some of your own fun toys along the way. So I want to make the most of them.
I would do the same too. So tell me a little bit about yourself, what you're doing right now, and just a little into your life.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I get asked that question, I always resort to, I'm a business guy. Like at the end of the day, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm lucky enough to have some amazing partners. We've done some really cool stuff. We have 3 different digital marketing agencies. So 2 of which are kind of production, design and production agencies for websites and online ads and games and things like that. And we're lucky. We've got like super cool clients from, right here in the Pacific Northwest in Spokane. We're able to work with Amazon and Disney and Nickelodeon and AT&T and it's crazy. I love it, and I'm super grateful. And then we actually have a digital media buying company. So think about ads on Facebook and Instagram and Google and things like that. We help e-commerce companies. We help a lot of education clients, things like that, driving leads, driving sales. So that's called Strategy Labs. So 7-2, 14-4, and then Strategy Labs. And so I have partners in all those businesses. My kind of main core partner for the last 16 years, 17 years, oh gosh, has been a guy named Nick Murdo. We've been together for a long time, and it's great. So I'm at my core, I'm a business guy. And then we have a couple other small goofy things that I always tell people. It's not good right now during a pandemic, but we own multiple gyms, so yoga, spin, and TRX called the Union. And then we have a juice bar, a couple of locations for the juice bar called Method Juice Cafe. So great businesses, a little goofy during these times, but it makes you kind of try to figure things out. And Nick, my business partner, really focuses mostly on those 2 and does a great job. We have great managers of those companies. They work really hard. So really fortunate to have some wonderful people that I get to work with.
Wow. You like to stay busy.
Yes, I think there's some truth to that, but there's also, like, I am really big about like the right people in the right places doing the right work. And if you can get them doing that and you work with them to set a vision and a dream for what you're doing, and we all kind of agree on it, treat them well and march forward, you're able to do some really amazing stuff. So it's the old adage, like, surround yourself with great people smarter than you. All these people are way smarter than me. There's so much truth to that. Like, let's be honest. And so I'm just the smart enough to like bring them around and in my circle, and Nick and I and Jeff and Ramsey are able to do that and work with some really fantastic people.
That's fantastic. You were just mentioning COVID pandemic. Things have been different for different businesses. Obviously, it can hinder some, and it can actually help some as well. Is there something you've seen positive come out of this pandemic for you and maybe your businesses?
Yeah, well, I think thankfully from a marketing front, the digital side is still really valuable, right? So if we're not catching as many people with billboards or with other print, maybe, let's say, but we are, digital is where people are going. And so, one of Amazon, AWS is one of our big clients, and the cloud computing group. And so, they they do all the back ends for Netflix and things like that. As those spike, that's been good business for us. We've been able to work from that. AT&T is a big client, so people love their cell phones and their internet and all of that. And so that, thankfully that's good for us. So I really do believe that the pandemic has been good for digital creative agencies, and we've been around for a long time. So fortunate enough that we have a good history and a good relationships with a lot of these companies. I always joke that I think it'd be so hard to have started an agency maybe in the last year and not have so much of those relationships or that kind of stuff. So I feel for those companies that are trying to figure it out, but we've been really fortunate in that respect. And then, of course, finding different ways to work. At our main company, 7.2, we went into the pandemic with a really good culture and kind of an operating procedure. And we did work from home, like no joke, like once a month. We were very sparing. We liked having people in the office. We really promoted that. We wanted people here. But our team was amazing. They went remote. So like mid-March, we went completely remote, and we haven't gone back since. And they've done an amazing job of communication. We do a meeting every single morning at 8:10 where we bring the whole company together. There's about 33 of us that come together, and that's a great time to be together and to talk, go over any larger housekeeping items. We it's a project management meeting is what it is, like what you're focused on, what's going on, who's doing what type of thing. But it's a great time. And we were doing that before in person, and then it went online with Zoom. And that's been, we've been able to carry that through. So seeing people like thrive in this, environment, not have to commute, we have a lot of people from North Idaho, the Valley, South Hill, North Side. And so them not having to commute, spend more time with their families, that's been really wonderful. And it's been wonderful to see and appreciate that, especially as parents are trying to figure out how they take care of their kids and to teach and to all this stuff. So we've been really conscious of, okay, how's that going and what's going on? And so, but it's, so I would say, humans are such resilient people, and, businesses, if you're really trying to kick some ass and do some good stuff, like you get creative and you figure some things out and you're able to do some cool stuff. And so we've been able to, I would say, thrive in many respects in this. And I'm very fortunate for that. So thankful for that.
Oh, that's awesome. And I think that's a great point, is the creativity. It has made more people be creative on how they're doing business and what they're doing. And it's a great point also, is the time you get back from working from home, that you can be with your kids. You don't have 2-hour commute. You don't have all of those little things, and you can be more productive when you're just like, all right, this is my work time, and I'm just go and work.
Yeah. Well, and no joke, Tabitha, we had my business partners and I had a meeting in, I would say, like April, and the theme was basically like, what does this do if the shit hits the fan? Like how do we solve this problem? Or what's the other businesses we could do? We have amazing people that, like, what else can they do? What are their talents? I mean, we were literally thinking of new ideas, like completely outside of what we were doing from a creative standpoint, just like, if this isn't working out or clients aren't spending money or what's the deal, like, and so that was fun. That was a fun exercise and we actually have some businesses that we're working on right now that are going to come out of the pandemic, a software company that we've been working on, and it's going to come out of the pandemic. And I don't know, it's something we'd kind of had in the back of our brains for a long time. And we're like, hey, let's make the most of this. And so we've been working on that. So that's been kind of cool as well.
That's really, really cool. So you're located in Spokane.
Yeah.
I know it's really weird right now, but what is your go-to restaurant in the Spokane area?
We are right down on Main Avenue, and Saranac is right. Public House is right by us, and I love that restaurant. They know my special. It's a Thai rice bowl salmon. And so I'm usually like, there's only a few of us that order it because it's not on the menu. If I call, and they always know it's me. It's a great restaurant. They have, they serve great local beers. It's just a good place. And I like to take people from out of town when they come. I like to go there. And so it's comfortable and always good. And I love that place.
And the reason I ask that question always is just for selfish reasons. I want to know where to go when I go to Spokane. Yeah.
Well, I always joke that, like, when people talk about, so I do a lot with like economic development in Spokane. I've been on the board of Greater Spokane Incorporated, and I'm on the board right now of Ignite Northwest. And people, when I talk about economic development, my joke is like, well, what we're doing is creating a better pizza place. And people are like, what? Well, I'm like, well, if you can create a better economy and people will thrive, people have disposable income, then you're going to see the great restaurants grow and do great things. So I'm always for like a better pizza. I love pizza as well. So of course the Flying Goat here in Spokane is absolutely amazing. And so that's a big one for me as well. And so I'm always, better pizza place. I mean, that's what I want.
That's so true too. I mean, I'm in Coeur d'Alene, and our restaurants are amazing. I'm so lucky for such a small town, but
Yeah.
we have a great community and a lot of people that can afford going to these great places.
Yeah.
So you have your hand in a lot of things: entrepreneur, author, speaker, tons of companies doing some great things. Is there a life lesson that you have learned the hard way?
Well, yeah, I mean, for me, and I don't know if it's like anything concrete per se, but it's an ongoing thing that I think about a lot. And being a part of all that stuff, you get to talk about a lot of cool stuff, and we have a lot of cool clients, and I get to travel. Well, before I got to travel the country and go to all these big restaurants in these big cities and have a good time. And this sounds goofy, but like humility was like a thing for me because I do get to do so many cool things. I am a part of some really fun stuff. And so I find myself talking about it, and you can get really far off and sounding like a total jerk really quick. And it's like, that's the last thing I want. I love humble people. I want to be a humble person. I think somewhere down in my core, I am a humble person. It means the world to me. That's important to me. But like, I find myself saying stuff and I'm like, like I'll walk away from a conversation and be like, what? Why did I feel the need to tell you that? Like, I'm not trying to impress you, but I wanted you to know that I had done this or that. And this, it's so weird. And so that's something for me, however, the way my brain is wired, like I'm kind of fighting with humility all the time. And again, it's not like I'm anything great, but I do get to do some fun stuff and I like to talk about it. And so, and I'm hopefully people want to hear it, but I find myself saying stuff that I'm just like, I wish that I could just reel that back in and just whoop, nope. Like it's so, yeah, that bro, humility is a big one for me.
Have you seen those memes where it's like someone's like laying in bed? It's like, and you open up your eyes and you're like, oh, do you think about that one thing you said way back when?
So I do that all the time. And it's usually walking for me. I mean, it's every once in a while, it's like out of the blue, but it's like walking away from something. I'm like, and no joke, I've texted people and said, hey, I don't know what was coming out of my mouth, but I personally think I sounded like a jerk and like an arrogant jerk. And I'm like, can you just forgive me for that? And like, oh dude, I didn't think anything of that. And just like, oh yeah, thankfully. But yeah. So I try, I'll try to own up to it if I find it later and see it. So I don't hate that. I just don't like it.
Yeah, and that makes sense. But it also could be inspiring people to say, oh, look what the life he's doing and the things that he's doing. It's really cool and inspirational.
Hopefully.
Yeah, that you worked your way to where you're at. It's not like you just were like, oh, this is just given to me. You've worked hard to where you're at. And so I think it's also a piece of it as well, as to inspire people that they can kind of do what you're doing.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So is there something or someone out there that actually inspires you to be your best person?
I would say a few. I mean, I have amazing business partners. They're smart. They're innovative. They make me better. I'm incredibly lucky to work with them. So that's a big one for me. My dad is, and I guess both my parents for that matter, but my dad inspires me. He taught me a lot about business and kind of, my dad, I always say the description of my dad was the guy who, he always said, like, if somebody gives you $1, you give them $1.10 back in service. Like, that's just what you do. And I believe that. And we're in the service industry. So we do a lot of that. And that was important to me, as well as my mom. My mom taught me a lot, as well as my dad, about kind of giving back. And I would say a lot of my philanthropy work and kind of volunteerism and stuff like that comes from my parents and just the way they treated people and the kind of how they gave back. And that was kind of ingrained in me as a human being. And I'd be remiss if I didn't, this is totally cheesy and stuff, but I'm a spiritual guy too. So, the life of Jesus is important to me. And, I take that to heart, and I think he was a kind gentleman. I want to be a kind gentleman. So that, I find I draw inspiration from that big time.
I love that. So we were just talking about how marketing has changed a little bit, where it's a lot of online and not as much billboards. But if you did have a billboard, what would your billboard say on it?
My partner Nick has a shirt that I love, and I wish I would have bought it first. It says, "Dude, be nice." And I like that. That's what I would just like. I would want to like reflect and have it say, "Dude, be nice," and just for people to think about that. Like, oh, road rage for whatever. I didn't need to do that. I didn't. It's just like the person you dealt with at the supermarket. Like, dude, be nice. And it's just that would be, I think, the biggest thing for me is kindness and just trying to get more people to think about the benefits of that. We all value it. It's all important. Like when it's shown to us, we appreciate it and it's important, but sometimes we just we get in the rut of life or whatever, and we forget to give it. So kind of a reminder. I'd put big glowing lights around it if I could, and just like flashing or something.
Really catch some attention.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there something you wish you would have known back to marketing or any of your entrepreneurial things that you're doing? Is there something you wish you would have known before jumping into that career?
Well, I mean, I think the idea that people want to help you. I think we oftentimes think that I've got to do this all on my own. I've got to find a way. I'm alone in figuring things out. And the idea that there truly are so many people out there that want to help students, they want to help young business people, they want to see you thrive, but you have to go out and make those connections. And that's, I mean, the book I wrote just recently called Be More Like You is this idea of kind of looking inward, being introspective. Who am I? What am I about? Why do I have these certain interests and skills? And how do I then apply them to an industry that I love? So it helps you uncover do some industry mapping. What are you passionate about? But then but really as it goes along, it actually shows you how to do informational interviews to build your network, do job shadows, internships, apprenticeships. But this idea of building your network of people who really want to help you and see you succeed. And you're going to meet people that are, kind of single-mindedness and want to do their own thing. So it's not like it's everyone, but I would say the greater majority of people that I didn't really know kind of growing up or didn't really think about, they really do want to help you. So if you are the one that initiates, that you reach out, that more than likely 3 out of 5 people are going to say, yeah, no problem. Let's catch up. I want to help you. What can I do? Who can I introduce you to? And that's a really big deal. I think that people sometimes forget that and they think we're in this alone, and we're not, right? We need each other. And if I would have known that, I would have probably reached out a lot more to different people and not felt like I was trying to figure this all out on my own. And that would have been a big learning for me.
Yeah. And there's also that piece of like, because people always ask, how can I help you? Or what can I do? It's also like, I want to have that answer for them too, because I've noticed the same thing. Like I ask for help more than I used to, but they're like, hey, how can I help you? Or like at the end of meetings, a lot of people are like, is there something I can help you with? And I'm always like, there probably is, but can I give me a couple seconds to think?
Yeah. Or feeling like, hey, I totally appreciate you asking. Can I get back to you? Yeah. And people are like, of course, right? But you're right. Like we feel like we have to have that advice right now at the ready to give them. But truth is, people don't mind at all. If you or even, hey, can we spend 15 minutes on a phone call later, or a Zoom or whatever? Like people are willing to do it. You just have to kind of initiate it, and then they'll make it happen.
Exactly. And then also the other piece is like when you are asking for help, you need to have those direct questions too. You probably
yes.
Is like you need to have that real question like, hey, I need you to help me with networking or marketing. You're like, cool, but what exactly do you need?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and again, not to just totally promote my book, I'll even show you, not to go and totally promote my book. But, we talk about that a lot in there, about the importance of asking, the right questions and being specific about what it is that you're looking for, and an understanding that you might not know it right now, but the more you talk with people, the more you actually do start to figure that out. The more you do start to learn like, oh, this person could help me with that, or I didn't know you were connected to her over here. And, sometimes it just takes that. And we have to get out of our comfort zone, right? To do that. A lot of people are like, nope, no, thank you. I ain't doing that. And it's like, you got to kind of like, oh, it's going to benefit me. I want to do it. And so you got to get over the fear and kind of push through. And when you do, people are always surprised at oh my gosh, I met this guy and he's going to help me connect with, this company over here. It's amazing. And people just need to get kind of a little uncomfortable to break through.
Oh, that's such a good point. You do have to get a little uncomfortable to get through that point of great things happen.
Well, and Tabitha, I've found time and time again, especially in my own life, that usually the fear that I'm feeling for whatever it is, right? So I'm starting my own podcast and I didn't know anything about like the production of that. Or how to, market a book. I marketed a lot of other things and never really, done a book. And I had some fear about like what that was, what that looked like. And usually it's a lack of information. If you just spend a little bit more time researching, I mean, let's be honest, there's so much good content on YouTube. There's a lot of bad content on YouTube, but there's so much like, I go down so many dumb rabbit holes on YouTube. But there's so many good, like there's such good content out there, whether it's podcasts like this or that you can find inspiration or you can find how-tos and tips and tricks. And like, if you just get a little bit more information, you get a little bit more comfortable with kind of what the subject matter, then your confidence builds and you can move in that direction. And that's the thing with me. If I find like I'm scared about something, I'm like, okay, what about this do I not know? And then I just do a little bit more research and it kind of pushes me over that crest.
That's such a good point. Oh yeah. There are YouTube rabbit holes. I mean, you start looking for how to rebuild a van and then you're down looking at like, I know, cat videos. I don't know.
Yes. And then YouTube's like, oh, you like cat videos? Let me give you 27,000 more. And I do like cat videos. And so I've seen them all. And I like I watch those like you name it. Like I've gone down, I'm probably totally confusing YouTube because they're like sending me all sorts of goofy stuff. Cause it's just, you're like, oh, it's fascinating. And, and of course there's a whole algorithm around the length of videos and all that kind of stuff that they know exactly like what works. And it's pretty amazing, actually.
It is. I agree 100%. So you're out there inspiring people in this book. I'm going to definitely have to read it because this sounds amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations. I have worked with different authors on some like PR stuff with them, and it's a lot of work. So congratulations. That's super exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So you're doing all these great things. Do you have a personal mission statement you live by?
I don't know if it's a statement per se, but I learned probably about 10 years ago, I figured something out, which was my, let's say, reason for being or purpose or something like that. And it wraps around kind of who I am as a human, my goals and my interests. And the one is I recognize that I was actually kind of okay at business and I was able to build businesses and make businesses and hopefully be a kind and good employer. And so I recognize that, okay, this is a skill of mine. I've been blessed with this. I need to figure out how to be the very best employer I possibly can to be, try to be as a steady employment to, like I said earlier, be kind and pay fairly and do everything I can to be the best employer I can, because I truly believe that was an innate skill that I was given that okay, I need to maximize this. So that was the first one. The second one was recognizing that, okay, because of that, there's going to be some fruits of that labor, some money, some profit. What am I going to do with it? Am I just going to go buy cars and houses and junk like that? Or am I going to like actually put it back into the community, try to help people? What does that look like? And so recognizing that, okay, this is cool. So not only have we done it within our companies and we have a giving program within our companies and allowing our employees to give away some of the profits, which is cool, which they made. We make sure they recognize and think that, oh, I helped develop this. It's not Nick and Tyler or, Jeff or Ramsey being generous. It's actually, oh, I was part of building this profit. So that's really important. We help people recognize that and they give it away. And then personally, like, who am I giving to, being more, specific about the types of nonprofits that I'm involved with, that I care about, kind of run the spectrum of humanity in terms of like ages and economics and things like that. So just being diligent about, hey, you've got a couple dollars extra to spend and give away. What are you going to do with it? So that was kind of the second one. Like, okay, I got to take that seriously. I got to do that. And then the third, and it kind of plays back into this book a little bit and all of the kind of speaking and stuff that I've done over the last 20 years, is that I guess on some level you could say I'm a person of influence, or, people kind of sort of maybe sometimes listen to what I have to say. And if that's the case, how am I going to use that? What does that look like? How do I mentor people? How do I, help? What can I do? How can I inspire others? And so I take that very seriously, whether it's speaking engagements I take or mentor, opportunities I do for people. I try to be, as intentional as possible and say, hey, this is a gift that I've been given. How do I use it? What do I do? So those three things are really kind of what I believe to be my life's mission and that I'm, focused on.
I love that. I absolutely love that. So a piece of advice you can give someone out there. We're going through a pandemic right now, and elections. I mean, the world's crazy, as we know. A positive piece, and some people are dealing mentally, physically, emotionally with something during this time. And then add a pandemic, add elections, add everything. A piece of advice you'd give to someone listening, kind of a positive piece as they go into their day.
Honestly, and it sounds so, it's getting more and more popular, which I totally appreciate, but the power of meditation. We're going to start doing a corporate meditation actually within our companies and try to like roll something out for everybody, but, and make time for it. Right. Cause that's a big deal. But the importance of meditation, to stop, to breathe, to, even if it's 10 minutes a day, just the chance to do that, and the value and benefits that I personally get from that I know others can get from that, is huge. Stress relief and clarity, focus. Not only do I try to do it during the day and do that, but then if I like wake up in the middle of the night and I'm thinking of a bunch of different stuff, my meditation practice and kind of what I've learned and the training my brain can help me get back to sleep faster. So, then I sleep better and things like that. So I truly believe the power of meditation. And a lot of, it used to be all about hippies and stuff like that before. And now it's getting, thankfully people are like, oh, there's some value in this, right? And we're seeing these really high caliber people do it, and they talk about it on podcasts and the value that it's brought to them. Not talking about myself by any stretch right now, but other people that I've heard say this, and that made me really kind of take it to heart and do it. And I've appreciated that. So, whether it's the Calm app on your phone or Headspace, or you can find it on, Spotify or whatever, just, anything. And maybe it's calming music, maybe it's actually guided meditation, but any of that stuff, if people just get into it, and usually it's almost like what we were saying earlier about information, they've got to get over the initial hump. I don't know if you do much meditation or if you remember when you first started it, and it's like, oh man, like you're just sitting there like antsy and you're thinking about a million, or like what, I got all these rampant thoughts coming into my head, and I'm doing it wrong and I'm just so bad at this. And it's just like, and then the other thing I would say with that, actually, that the advice I would say is, and I talk about it in the book too, is giving ourselves a little bit of grace along the way. Like we want to have it all figured out. I want to have it all figured out. I want to know exactly how to do it. And it's so unrealistic. Like we have to give ourselves some grace to be like, you know what, you're doing your best. You're moving in, the right direction. I no joke. I think like the story of my life is 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I'm still going forward and I'm moving in the right direction, but I'm always screwing up. I'm doing something wrong. I'm ticking somebody off. Like I'm good at that. I really am. And so it's like, I think, but we have to remember that we are moving in the right direction and there's value in that. And so just to be kind of conscious of that is really important. So, definitely meditation and a chance for a little bit of quiet time, and then giving ourselves a little bit of grace would be the advice I would give.
Oh, that's awesome. So here's a chance to brag a little bit. How can we support you? How can we contact with you? How can we get the book? Tell us how to connect with you.
Well, that's kind. I've always, I've been on social media since it kind of started, right? And I'm horrible at it, absolutely horrible at it. But, and I always had an account over here, and I'm probably more of a voice. Like I don't want to, I always think that no one wants to hear what I have to say, but I like seeing, what other people have to say. So, I kind of started a new account when I launched the book. It's, the Tyler Lafferty, and it's on Instagram. That's kind of my core one that I use, but you can find me there. BeMoreLikeYou.com is the website that we actually have for the book. You can buy the book on Amazon, whether you search Tyler Lafferty or you search Be More Like You, you can find it. But yeah, and I welcome the dialogue. If people read the book and are like, hey, I'm trying to figure out, so at the byline is a guide to answering the ultimate question, what do I want to do with my life? Right. So if that's a conversation that people want to have and they want to send me a note, I'm always up for that. It's a great conversation and it's fun to talk about. So I welcome the chance.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for giving me your time this morning.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It was fun to chat with you.
Thanks for listening to Keeping Tabs. I'm Tabitha Crock, and every Monday I release a podcast about different community members here in North Idaho. And then we end the weeks on Fridays with a podcast about the things I'm passionate about: outdoors, adventures, sports, the van life, and even current events. So if you like what you heard, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube, Spotify, or iTunes. Thank you again. Now go be kind and do something great.